I built this, literally by myself, building my own website, doing my own, like, I mean, everything was really literally by myself. And so
Wow.
to bring someone else in to then start, emailing clients and going into my systems and
Hmm.
doing that took a year, right? Because personality is everything to me. Energy is everything to me. And
Yeah.
that's something my old boss taught me. You can't teach people skills. You can't teach etiquette and integrity, and you can
Hmm.
teach systems, but you can't teach those things.
Welcome to The Right Fit. Today, we're joined by Ananis, the visionary and owner of Events by Ananis, featured in Vogue. And with over a decade of expertise, Ananis has built a reputation for bespoke, high end wedding planning rooted in timeless elegance and intentional design. The kind of work that makes high stakes wedding day feel completely, almost magically effortless. And Anise, I have to start here because most people are in the industry talk about the beautiful end results. We're always seeing the stuff on social media, of course, but you've been doing this for many, many years. And at this point in your career, when you're deep in the middle of a wedding, I'm highly curious, not the planning side, the actual day, what is going through your head?
What's going through my head is, what do we have to prepare for next? And so we're anticipating that next step. So when ceremony's happening, I'm already thinking about the walkout and cocktail hour and ceremony. So I do try to kind of stay in the moment, but it's very difficult for me to do so because, again, I'm thinking about, we need to prepare for the next thing.
Okay, so you're already anticipating the next thing. I think that's very valuable in the sense of it's something that I try to explain to my couples or people planning that vendors, experienced vendors are usually anticipating things because we're also trying to avoid or help you avoid any pitfalls, let's call it. And we're kind of doing that thing. But at the same time, have you ever felt, and maybe this was in your early years or maybe sometimes in your current years, have you ever felt like you didn't have it quite figured out in that moment? But eventually you did figure it out and it kind of came together anyway.
I mean, that's every wedding.
There it is. That's what I was trying to get to.
There you go. Okay, fine. You got me. I'm going to be celebrating 20 years in the hospitality industry in 2027. And
Wow.
so, in even still within 20 years of experience, you just never know what's going to happen. And of course, things are going to happen. We just had a wedding in January, and then, I got a text message the next day from the couple. I'm like, everything was perfect, everything was amazing. And I'm like, actually, they're like, tell me everything. And so obviously it happened already. So I'm like, and this happened, but they didn't know about it. And really, that is, if I could say, the biggest benefit of wedding planner is that that's what you get a wedding planner for, so that you don't have to deal with any of those issues, and you don't really know about those issues. You're kind of in the background, kind of figuring it all out for you.
I love that. And is that a skill that is like developed over time or you always kind of found yourself in these situations? And I think who we're trying to talk to with this one is essentially maybe somebody who's getting into the planning space or maybe somebody who's further along in the planning space because it doesn't necessarily matter if you've been doing it for 1 year or 10 years. You still might come across these hurdles.
Yes. So I think that for me, I've always been a very detailed oriented person. Even as a little girl, like, everything had to be kind of aligned. But I also thrive in chaos. Like, there's people that get overwhelmed and stressed out. I don't get stressed out. I actually, like, that's my happy place. So for me, in the middle of all of the things and, any challenges that come up, I go into, how do we fix this mode? Like, what can we do to kind of just take care of this issue? And so I genuinely do not get stressed out. So, and I think that has kind of always been the case with me. So that's why hospitality industry, is great for me, because it's high pace. There's issues happening every single moment. I remember back in my hotel days, I was at the front desk. And when I tell you, every possible situation that could have happened came to me at that front desk, which really, I feel like, has equipped me now, owning my own business and being in the wedding industry, to be able to kind of pretty much handle anything, because I have been dealing with that for so long.
Pretty much front line of defense at that front desk, dealing with all
Yeah.
that. You get everything, things I'm sure they didn't even train you for. Probably most of the things they didn't even train you for.
Exactly right. I have stories for days. I think I'm gonna write a book when I retire, and just, like, all of the things and all the stories.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a reality of what we deal with. It's something that I think people, as far as the couples go, they either are investing in the services to hopefully not even have to deal with that thing, or let's call it chaos. But at the same time, it's interesting that you explained your persona or your personality when you come to events, because different vendors have different personalities at events. And in my experience, I've worked with various types. I feel like, I mean, we haven't had the luxury, because I call it a luxury because I think it's going to be amazing to work together yet, but I think it's going to be amazing when we
I
do.
know, isn't that crazy? I feel like you and I are so aligned in so many things, and people have just assumed that we work together, but
I
we
know
have yet to work together to work a wedding. I think that the world will just explode.
they can't handle us right now.
I think we're just getting the world ready little by little, and
They
then
can't
it'll
handle us.
happen, and then forget it. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. They ain't ready for us. But at the same time, when you explain that personality, it's relevant to what we do, because I've worked with vendors. I mean, it could be different. It could be a photographer. It could be another wedding planner where they're maybe not doing as good with the chaos, or maybe let's say not doing as good as concealing it. Right. And I've worked with planners where like things going crazy and this, and they're like, ah, and I'm just like, they're like, how are you so calm right now? I'm like, well, being crazy right now is not going to fix the issue. Let's take a step back. And they're like, how are you talking? And like frustrates them even more sometimes because I'll be so calm about it. But at the same time, everybody has a different way of doing things. And I think for anybody in this industry who is looking, to build something, or maybe even to switch something, that is part of what we do. I think we as people, our personalities go into the event, and how that could relate to other vendors or client experience. I think it's something we should consider, because maybe somebody's not noticing, but maybe somebody is. So if a
Absolutely.
potential couple sees the planner going cuckoo, I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to be reassuring for them to be like, she don't got it together. What the hell am I supposed to do? So I think it's important
Absolutely,
to
and
know.
I think that's a huge I think 2 big points to that. So, number 1, you're the captain of that ship. If you're falling apart, everyone else is gonna fall apart around you, and so I have worked with planners and I mean, with vendors that do that, and I look at them and I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's such a lack of professionalism, number 1, because again, you're the captain of that ship. It's even with my own kids, right? Like, if one of my kids fall, they kinda look to my reaction and be like, "Should I cry? Was that," and then I'm like, fine, everything's great. And
Yeah,
so you kind
that's
of have
true.
to treat it that way. So I think that when you are running around with your head cut off and are looking and stressed, that's such lack of professionalism, number one. And number two, a good point that you made before, it's you don't know who's in the room. And I tell that to my team all the time. You have no idea where our next couple is going to come from. And it could be in that very room. And that's one of the reasons why a couple of things that I decide for myself, and obviously everyone's different, but I make it a point to not attend cocktail hour and eat in cocktail hour because I'm the wedding planner. I don't want any of a potential guest going
That's a tough one.
wedding planner and like she's like at the shrimp cocktail station. And again,
That's a tough
everyone's
one.
different.
I can
Everyone's
skip dinner all day, but a cocktail hour.
Yeah, I feel like DJs, like, they're cool. You guys have a little bit of, like, wiggle room and, like, photography and videography, like, you guys get a pass. I feel like
Okay.
wedding planners
Okay.
don't really get a pass.
All right. All right.
That's why I'm gonna
Sure.
become a DJ. We'll talk about that in the next podcast.
All right. I'm
But
with it.
also, I feel like, for even afterwards, when my night ends, that's when like people are dancing and having a good time. And there's so many couples that I would love to like party with and dance with. But again, it's like, wait a minute, have watched me be the wedding planner for 10, 12 hours, and now I'm on the dance floor, like partying it up like I'm a guest. And I just for myself, I just doesn't feel good. So as heartbreaking as it is, especially for those couples. And if you're listening, you know who you are, that I would love to party till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, but it just doesn't look professional. And so I do step away. So that's a huge piece of it because you're right. You have no idea who's going to be in that room and where your next couple is going to come.
Correct. I think there are some things to consider with that. It's all representation. And look, everybody represents themselves differently. But am I the first one in cocktail hour? No. I usually wait maybe 30 minutes or more, make sure that everybody kind of maybe ate already. Some people don't care. I understand that. I respect that. And to the other thing that you said, like I get invited to every after party you can think of, but I usually have not ever gone because, unless I really know the people, maybe sometimes it's a personal connection and that's why I'm DJing the wedding, then yeah, it could kind of look like, the DJ's here and now it's crossing some type of social line. It's not a written rule, but everybody has a way of carrying themselves differently. And
Right,
look, I'm
and this
I'm
is
not
just my personal opinion, this is
correct.
your personal opinion, and people that do
Absolutely.
it, that I'm not, knocking them. Everyone has their own way of working. It's just for myself, I do try to kind of establish that boundary.
Absolutely. Like, I don't drink at events. I know a lot of DJs that do, like, a lot. And I'm not saying I'm better than another DJ, but I just don't feel like it's something that if something does go wrong, for example, and I could take onus of it because it's a true human mistake versus I was under the influence of something and now that how could that look, you know? Can't was it a true human mistake or you just drank too much and then that's why you messed something up? Anyway, that could be a whole other conversation, how to carry yourself at events.
It's really good.
Yeah, it could. It could. I mean, all these topics can go somewhere else. But
Okay.
I'm curious to know. You've mentioned your 20-year journey, and I mentioned 10 because I feel like that's pretty much events by Ananis, somewhere around there. Okay,
Yeah, oh, well,
20.
6 years. 6 years is this year is our
Okay,
6th year, so we're not
okay,
not quite yet at 10, but we'll get there.
okay. But I mean, you've had tons of experience in
Mhm.
hospitality, which is all related to anything from customer service to concierge type of things and so on and so forth. Now, I know that you've been featured in some things, for example, the Vogue thing. Who was your first call? Who did you tell first when that happened?
For the Vogue, thing was my mom.
Uh, Okay.
My
Why your
mom.
mom?
Because she never limits me. She never has provided me with any limits. And as a Latina mom, a Latina immigrant mom, for her to be that way and just always believed in me that I could really truly do anything. She let me travel to France and study there for a month. She just has always been my number one supporter in everything. And so when I got so it's funny because I didn't tell anybody that this was happening because I'm like, "You just never know," and I don't wanna get excited, and I got the call, it's live, it's up, and I'm like, "No, it's not," and I'm in the mall
It's
with my
happening.
kids.
It's happening.
Yeah, and I went online and I'm like, "I'm not gonna be the person that's, like, just gonna start, like, hysterical crying." So I got home, I read the article, I'm like, "Okay, this is, like, actually this is happening, it's on." And I called my mom and I shared it with her, and it's funny because with her, she's like, "What's Vogue?" And, like, she thought it was, like, an actual magazine, and so
¿Qué
that
es
took a
eso?
me to yeah, so that was my first call, and then, I texted, I didn't call my old boss over at Marriott. I worked with him for 8 years out of the 15 years that I worked there, and he really taught me everything that I know about event planning, and I really owed any success that I've had really to him. And so I wanted to reach out to him and just thank him for everything, for the guidance, and wanted to share that moment with him. And so, and then from there was kind of my family and my close friends. It was really, really sweet. I don't know. To me, obviously, yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful accomplishment. But to me, I know it sounds corny. I treat every couple and every wedding like a Vogue featured wedding. They're all so beautiful and unique and special. And really, the beauty out of that wedding was not that it was featured in Vogue, but that I have a really great relationship with the couple, especially with the bride. She's so talented and so incredible. And to be able to kind of be a part of her life now is really the honor for me.
Love that. And the fact that you pay tribute to some of the special people who have been part of your journey, which sounds far from over, which is amazing, that you're already having some of these accomplishments. But then what is it really about? It's really about the connection that you had with these couples and how it's still going on. I think that's amazing too. I love the fact that I've gotten into a space where it's more about the connection than some of these things that, yes, they're cool, their accolades are nice, and you need a little bit of it sometimes to get out there. But those connections are invaluable that, I'm not saying you need to be friends with all your couples, but it does feel nice that there is a different type of connection established. It's just something way more rewarding with that for me personally.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it is for you. So I think that's
Yeah, I
amazing.
mean, I perfect example. I actually just posted about this. I have a bride that I worked with a few years ago, and I'm up to now 5 weddings that she's recommended for me. To
Wow.
me, that's the honor, that's the accolade, because then that just shows that myself and my team did such a beautiful job with her wedding that she trusts now us to be able to do it for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 of her friends and family, and so that to me is really what is the drive, that we did such a great job that we were referred to by our past couples to a future couple.
Yes, that is. I mean, that's a win. That is the win. When it's something that lives on, right? It's past this just moment in time. It's something that is living on for years and years. I saw an interview that you recently did, or I don't know how recent it was, but let's say recently posted, more last in the last couple months, where I love one of your analogies. You gave great advice about trying on venues like a wedding dress, which I love analogies. I'm like the analogy king, especially in my house to try to explain things. So I love that analogy to see what clicks for a couple. So in all your years of building your business, right, you've had to try on maybe some different ways of working or different niches before you found this, I guess you could say, version of yourself or this way of doing what you do. But like, other than the hotel hospitality thing, like, did you just go straight from that to weddings? Have you planned other types of events? Like, what has that journey been like?
So basically, long story short, I worked for Marriott for 15 years. And so 8 of those years was in events. And then I worked for the National Group Sales Office. So that experience, it really was the natural progression into wedding planning. And in 2020, I was tasked with planning my sister-in-law's bridal shower. And after that, my brother and my aunt were like in my ear, like, you got to do this, you got to do this. And I'm like, the world is ending. I don't want to start an event planning. And my brother was like, what better time to do it than now? Because
Man.
you just get all your logistical things, like get your LLC, get your business account. And then when, like, the world comes back and you're ready to go, I'm like, okay. And really, when I started this, I was like, maybe I'm just going to do kids' parties. And maybe if I'm lucky, like a bridal shower. And the first year I had 5 weddings. To this day, Christian, I couldn't tell you how it happened. I think it was just blessings that I was able to just receive, and I was prepared to receive. And so that really just kind of what started. And so I've started with weddings, and I've kind of just maintained with that. I do have an event planner that does focus on children's parties. It's just that opportunity hasn't really been. My personal, ironically, expert love, area of expertise is corporate event planning. That's what I did mostly. And I think I did like one corporate event. So, but I've fallen in love with weddings.
Mm.
That has really been something that when I worked for the hotel, I used to help and assist with it, but it was never something that I thought that I would love. But I think the difference now is that I get to choose my couples and my couples get to choose me, and it becomes this really beautiful personal experience. And so I think that's the key, that I've fallen in love with wedding planning, because it's a great experience, but also it's the people and the love stories that I get to protect and honor. That's really the biggest thing. But yeah, so that's how that all started. Um, and to anyone listening, I would say this: my level of success was really measured by trying. I didn't want to do it. I thought, what if I fail? But I have 2 daughters that are looking up to me, and so I don't ever want them to feel that they can't try something because of that fear factor of, what if I fail, but what if you succeed, right? And
Mm.
so that was really my level of success. Anything that was beyond that was just, icing on the cake, but that's how that whole kind of crazy journey came to be. And now here we are, 6 years in, countless weddings, and we'll see what happens in the future.
And on the Right Fit show, telling
And
your
on the
story,
right foot show, I
telling
love
your story that has just begun. And
it.
you ended with something that triggered another thought in me,
Okay.
where it's talking more to the entrepreneur who does have children, which we might come back around to this topic, but it just made me think of something you said about your daughters. And it's something that has clicked to me more than ever, having children of my own, is that we're commonly telling children that you could do whatever you want to do or be whatever you want to be. But then us as adults are not doing that thing that we're telling the children to do. So I think what you're saying here, and you're proof of it, that you're doing this thing that maybe wasn't necessarily the perfect little cookie cutter thing, but like you ended up being somewhere that is where you need to be, where you should be, and that you love to be. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's something that you're passing on to your daughters as an example. They see you as their guide, at least for now. You know, you're guiding couples in their wedding day, but you're also guiding your kids along the way too.
Aw, I hope
So
so. I hope they're getting something out of this.
I mean, look, I get it. You know, I have the was I a good dad today moments. You know, I know it's not always perfect, but we're trying our best here. So I
We're
think that's a
trying our
beautiful
best.
thing.
Well, listen, I see all these young people and they're like, "Well, I wanna have it all," and, like, they're asking me, "How do you do it all?" I'm like, "I don't. I fail all the time." And
Yeah.
so, there's gonna be times, I have this thing. You actually might appreciate this because and I said my mind is where my feet are. And so that has really been in a really amazing way for me to balance it all, if you could say that, because I tried the other way. I tried to kind of, while I'm at the softball game, sending out the email, and while I'm at this, I'm doing that, and I failed miserably. But if I set my mind, like right now, I'm here with you at the right fit. And so my mind is where my feet are. But yeah, I fail all the time, all the time. And you can't have it all, at least not at the same time. And so you really want to carve out those moments where you can really be present and be a parent. And then you could really be present and be an entrepreneur. And you can really be present and be a daughter and a sister. And so, that does take intention, right? And it also, you have to create boundaries because there's going to be people that are going to want and need more of your time than you're able to give them. And so that's another huge thing that I'm always working on. It's like, okay, I know you need me right now, but I'm dealing with this and then I have to go to that. And then also with my couples, I'm very good with response time, especially you're dealing with couples on their wedding day, but
Yeah.
you have to create those boundaries because that's how you're able to kind of balance it and not fall apart.
Power of no is a very powerful thing. And it's not something that is to say you're not being flexible or you're not providing, let's say, either a service or being a good mom or whatever the case may be. But I think sometimes it is a necessary thing to keep us within balance. And it's something that I've personally struggled with for a long, long time. I was and still am sometimes. I like to be the yes person. I like to people please. And sometimes it's okay to a certain extent till you find yourself saying, why am I drowning right now? Well, because you said yes to every little thing that came along your way and you promised the world to everyone. And now you're the one suffering for it. So I think no is a very powerful thing. It's something that I've learned along the way. I mean, I had to turn down a thing the other day, and it was kind of like, at first I was like, and I was like, Christian, don't do it. You're overcommitting right now, and you have your family, you have a lot of events, or whatever the case may be. It's okay to say no. And the same thing with saying no to. I remember one time I had to say no to a planner who wanted to do a very like late night call for something. I was an old Christian would have said yes, and I gotta say no to this because I need to be there for my family. After the fact, fast forward. She told me, she's like, I really respected that about you. And she saw me in a different light. So don't think that saying no is also going to take something away from you either, right? Because you're like, oh, if I say no, then, and I'm going to miss an opportunity or this is going to happen or this person's not going to like me. That's not necessarily true either.
And also, if you do say no and those people don't like you, then those are not your people, right? And so that's the other piece of it. I'm really intentional with the people that I surround myself with and I do give my time to because that's huge because I'm not going to give time or allow anyone to make me feel bad having those boundaries
Yeah.
or I mean, I think I told you this. I had a potential bride that didn't hire me specifically because I had kids.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the first things that I mention. I have 2 children, and at any point throughout the wedding process, you're gonna see them on a call, we're gonna call me in the car, and they're gonna be in the car with me, and they're a part of who I am, and so and if there are anybody is there anybody that would rather not work with me, or think that that's unprofessional, then those are not the clients for me.
Right. They come with the package, take it or leave it. I can't get rid of my
That's
kids. There's
right.
no return policy in them. I tried.
No, there isn't. Believe me, we've tried.
We
We've
tried. We
tried, and
tried.
they come back.
Nope, it's not Amazon. So one thing that I've also heard you talk about is is about a clear vision, being like an anchor for couples against like all the noise, right? Opinions from family, friends on social media, all these things that we have going on. And so I'm curious how you protect your own creative signature from being watered down for some of these forces, right? Because as a creative, sometimes we see these things and it's like, should we be doing these things? Do I need to? And look, we've had conversations of maybe what of persona or a look of a DJ is, and I'm like, should I be doing this thing too? Like, I think we all go through it.
Yeah, I think I've had so many different style weddings, and if you look, on our Instagram, I mean, we've kind of done so many different things, but I think the common thread, that Events by Ananis provides, it's that there's beauty and simplicity.
Mm,
And I think my whole life, less is more. I'm a beige, white, clean,
I wear the right color today.
yes, well, I have my white linen curtains back here, and, like, I have my but, yeah, so I think that's the common thread, and so, my colleagues are doing these extraordinary events with these, floral installs and these and that's amazing. That's just not us, and so we've been very lucky in getting couples that kind of see that vision and actually look and say, "This is what we want." And so we really just kind of break it down to the simplicity of it all. For me, trends are awesome, and there's some really cool things out there, but if it becomes all trends and it starts taking away from the couple's style, then that's kind of when I have those conversations. And I always say to my couple, please don't ever say what we should do. It's what you want to do. And if your guest can walk into your space and go, this is them, then
Yeah,
I've succeeded
right.
because that is huge for me. I want their guests to truly feel that they're at this couple's weddings, for the couple to be able to feel that they're at their own wedding. And I feel a lot of times that's not happening because it's so much and they almost get lost in it. And so to me, I really, really do just make sure that when we start getting into kind of like more trendy or they're choosing things because, well, that's what's out there now. But is that you? Are you a black and white modern baby's breath when that whole thing kinda came to be a few years ago? No, you're not, right? So really making sure that the couple has a wedding design and have these really special moments that's truly themselves so that they feel completely comfortable, and themselves on their wedding day. So I have those hard mama bear conversations all the time. I had one
Necessary.
2 days ago.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil, and at the end of the day, you're there to support them, to guide them. I don't think you're gonna hold a gun to their head either and say, "Okay, if this is the decision you want to make, you're gonna support them, but you're also gonna kinda give them your years of wisdom and experience." And I see it all the time. It could be like if the color of the year is lavender, but, like, that's not even the color, like, why would you choose it just because it's the color of the year, or these things that people easily get fallen into? And from a musical standpoint, if I have to tie it into what I do, it's not so much the colors, but sometimes it's like well, my parents are paying and they're inviting half of their friends. And so I don't even like this music, but I guess, do we have to play it all night? And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe we could play like a little bit of it just to, make sure that everybody feels included and involved. But like, if you don't even like this thing, I don't know if we should be doing it all night. I mean, I could do it all night if you want me to, but it's not really going to speak to what you want to do. And how is this going to live on after your wedding day? Is this going to be the memory that you look back on and be like, wow, that was an amazing time. I danced to only September. I never got to hear anything else that maybe I wanted to hear. I'm just
And
giving
those
random
those
examples.
things do those break my heart because we've had so many there's been so many wonderful, generous parents and loved ones, but I say to couples, if you're going to receive this, just let them know that you're receiving without those extra, but now you have to. Because guess what? You don't. If you're helping out with the wedding, we thank you and we honor you for that, but at the end of the day, it's the couple's wedding day. And so there are ways to honor certain requests, and some of them, are cultural, and we're very mindful of that. Um,
Absolutely.
but at the end of the day, it's the couple's wedding day, and so to whomever is out there, whether it's a parent or a loved one, they're like, "I gave X amount of dollars, and so now I can dictate certain things." You can't. You really can't, and so I really make sure that I have that conversation with the couple because it's really important. Like, is receiving this money going to actually help you, or is
Mm,
it gonna be taking away from your overall desired wedding day.
Right. Is this strings attached or no strings attached? And sometimes it does come with the strings attached, and it ends up being the wedding that, I don't know, the mom of the bride always wanted to have for herself, and not necessarily the wedding of the bride. I've seen that happen. But it's interesting how that works. But I'm also interested in, you mentioned people that work with you or for you. So I'm also trying to figure out, once again, since we haven't worked together, would you say, are you a solo operatorpreneur?
Gosh,
Is there a
no.
team? Like, what does that look
It is.
like when you
It's like
hit like
the
this?
best team
Okay.
ever. Yes,
All
so
right.
I never really started alone because from the
Okay.
very, very beginning, I had at least one other person, Myra. She was helping me out with day of. So pre-planning and all of that administrative. I mean, I had created my own website when I first started and designed my own logo when I first started. Social media, I still manage on my own. But for the wedding day, or any events, especially at the beginning, she was there with me. And then we brought Esco on board. She's phenomenal. She actually works with your past guest with Jackie, and Jackie suggested that I connect with Esco, and she's just been the greatest thing in the world. And Myra and her worked really beautiful together, and she she came to my life, I feel, for a reason. She's the like, let's just do it and have fun. Personal and professionally, she makes sure that I have fun and I'm enjoying myself. And she's already pushed me to do things that I absolutely would have never done on my own because you know me, I don't like to leave my house. So there's Esco. And then we recently just hired someone from the administrative side, Courtney. So she and I actually used to work together at Marriott, and she is methodical and she is more detailed than me. And so yeah, you're scared. You're like, "Wait a minute, I need to meet this per." No, she's phenomenal. And so I've what I realized is that, yes, I can do it by myself, but do I really need to do it by myself? And so we hired her just to kind of deal with like invoicing, contracting, and she has been so amazing in that because it has allowed me time to then focus more on the clients and really on other things that I want to be able to work on from the business standpoint. So there are three incredible women that help me out, keep me sane, keep me calm, especially on wedding days. Because though I don't lose it in front of the clients, I definitely do lock myself in the closet sometimes and just go, oh God, take a breath. Yeah, and they're there like, we got this." But it's just they're incredible, and all of them, and I mean, Myra and Esco, I can literally just look at them, and they know exactly what I'm thinking, they know exactly what I need. Yeah, so it's beautiful. I am still trying to get one more person onto our staff for the wedding, but for now, that's my team.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, teamwork definitely makes the dream work, especially when you're working with these events that have so many things going on. And sometimes you need to divide and conquer at these spaces where there's somebody's in the bridal suite and somebody's somewhere else, or whatever the case may be. But from a back end perspective, something that you were so hands on with as an entrepreneur, how easy was that? Like, how easy was it for you to let go of that?
So it took me a year to find the no big deal.
Okay. Yeah. It's light.
You and I
Okay.
both know how insane I am.
Okay.
Let's just I you know what? The world will now know how insane I am. But in my defense, so, my name is literally on the company, right? And so and I only did that, for trademarking. I didn't wanna have my name on there, but, it's a unique name, less risk of, any issues. And
Right.
so I built this, literally by myself, building my own website, doing my own like I mean, everything was really literally by myself. And so
Wow.
to bring someone else in to then start, emailing clients and going into my systems and doing that took a year, right? Because personality is everything to me. Energy is everything to me. And that's something my old boss taught me when we used to hire our staff. You can't teach people skills. You can't teach etiquette and integrity, and you can teach systems, but you can't teach those things. And so that was a really big piece. And so after almost a year, Courtney actually messaged me, and I was very hesitant, to be quite honest, because she's so overqualified and she's so phenomenal and she's doing such incredible things on her own. But something just kept at me like, just ask. Because again, the worst you can say is no. And she was so excited to be a part of it, and she said, "I miss the wedding industry, so this is a perfect way for kinda me to be in it, but not, like, in it," because she was
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
And so it was once I knew it was her, and I know that it was somebody that I've trusted and have has been in my life for, oh my gosh, so many years, then it was okay. Then I was like, "Okay, I'm ready to let go of that," and it's been
Okay.
fantastic because like I said, I'm able to kinda let go of, like, something that could have taken me an hour, like onboarding a vendor and going through the contracting, updating the budget, and so I don't have to think about that anymore. But yeah, it took me a little time, but I'm
Look,
glad 'cause it's a little bit.
you found the right fit. You found the
I did find the right fit. Look at you putting your
Look
name on.
at that. And I think that's amazing that you were able to take that step. But what would you say to an entrepreneur who is on the fence about taking such a step and delegating some things out? I know you had a tough time, but was it worth it? Do you think
Yeah,
that somebody who's
100%.
at that point, I'm not saying that you need to be there day one, but you eventually get to this point where you're just kind of like, I'm doing all the things and I don't know if this is really helping me or pushing moving the needle forward in my business.
Right, and I think that was the hardest thing for me because I was like I almost felt guilty, right? I'm like, "But I could do this. I can do it. I
Of course.
physically could do it."
Of
But to
course.
me, it was like, "Can I mentally do it?" That was the question that I was like, "Okay, there's the answer." Because could I physically do it? 100%. But could I mentally do it? Could I be in that space where now I'm taking that hour to do the budgeting and the contract, and now I have to be in a mental state to take a call with a potential client. No, and that's when I was like, "Okay, I need help," because that wasn't happening anymore. I wasn't mentally rested to be able to take more front-facing things, and so that's why I said I need some help on the back end.
You're being pulled apart in so many different ways. And I think that an entrepreneur who's been along the journey for a bit and is kind of getting to that point, you kind of know where you're at that point. I think the fear is being so hands on in what we do and being creatives is it going to lose a personal touch? Is something going to go wrong? And all these other things that obviously, yeah, like you said, you're putting your name on it, stamp of approval. But on the flip side of that, you're being more present. You're probably being more creative and you're maybe able to take on other things that you wanted to do along the way, which actually makes me think of this, I would say, newer venture. You're part of a nonprofit organization, correct? That you just recently joined?
Yes,
Gather and
yes,
Give, is that the name of it? Correct?
the Gather and Give organization. Yes, so this came to be, back in November. Just it really came out of guilt. Yeah, as most things usually happen for me, I just feel guilty all the
That's
time.
it.
Uh,
Is that why you're on the show today? Please don't tell me it's out of
no,
guilt. No.
gosh, no. I am on the show because I get to hang out with you, and we get to
Okay,
talk,
okay.
which we do
Just
all the
checking.
time anyway, but now it's, like,
Yeah.
official, you know?
This is it. This is gonna be out there in the world forever.
Out there in the world. Yeah, so, back in November, we were receiving, as you know, like all these like gala invites and networking events for the holidays, and just something didn't sit right with me. And I felt as an event industry that we could do more. And so I remember the post. I posted like, "Hey, if I do a food drive, would anyone be interested?" And I think I got within like 5 minutes, like 10 DMs on people like, "Yes, we're interested. We want to do it." And so there's something here. Very long story short, and ended up becoming this beautiful holiday event. We worked with a local women's organization that supported single moms and their families. And so originally we were going to do a holiday drive and get gifts for these 8 families. And at the end of the event, we were able to sponsor 12 families in total. So not just 1 child or 2 child, there was 2 to 3 children within each family that we were able to provide their holiday wish lists and do that for. And, obviously you kind of know about it since you were the one that did the DJing for that event. And it was really beautiful and it was a really great energy in the room. And people were able to hang out and network, and people that never knew of each other. Like there's a florist that never met the signage person because they were kind of leaving when the other one was coming in, and they were able to meet that day. And so these really great connections, but then we were also able to do it and give back. And so after that event, the founder of that organization reached out to me and said, so when are you doing your nonprofit? And I'm like, ha ha, you're so funny. I said, no, thank you. I have my own business. I have 2 kids. I'm on the board for my daughter's softball league. I think I'm good. And she said, I really think there's something there. And I'm like, no, we're okay. And later on that week, a situation occurred, and we got an email from a mom. She said, I really we need some help. How can we help? And we were able to help that mom. And then something else happened, and I don't want to get into it, but it was these signs that just kept coming at me. And so I was like, I think we're going to start a nonprofit. And so my first call
Well,
was to my incredible, amazing friend, and colleague, and I said, "If I do this, would you do this with me?" And she's like, "To the cliff, to the edge, like, let's go." And then I reached out to Myra, she's an accountant, and I'm like, "Would you, like, wanna be a treasurer for a nonprofit?" And she's like, "What nonprofit?" I'm like, "Oh, we're doing a nonprofit." And she goes, "Okay, so we're doing a nonprofit." And so, long story short, these incredible women that are on the board, I have 10 in total. We have a surprise. We added someone, that's gonna be announced soon. Were hand selected because not only are they experts in their field, they have knowledge in the nonprofit sector, but also have these really incredible personal stories that fuel them to want to do the work that we're trying to do. And so we just had our first official event, which was our wellness event, and we partnered with a organization that helped women of domestic violence, and we were able to raise, just from the event and from a Pilates event that was done prior, over $1,000, in monetary funds. And then we also were able to provide personal toiletry items, as well. We just went and dropped off the last of it this weekend. And so it's exciting and it's incredible. And I think, especially in the event industry, we have such luxury to have access to so many different things, and there's a want to do more. And I just simply think that people aren't doing it, not because they don't want to, but there is no time there. How do we vet the right organization? And people want to feel something that's tangible, right? Like,
mm,
yes, you can write a check to Toys for Tots, or Make a Wish, and those are wonderful organizations, but we're giving to people that we have names attached to them. We know exactly where it's going to, and to the families that we're supporting. And so, we're really excited. There's so many incredible things that are already kind of in the works. And considering this is really just our first year, for even to have these conversations is really extraordinary. So we're really, really excited about
that's amazing. And that's once again another reminder of you make plans and God laughs, and then here
it.
you are doing these other things. But at the same time, as I have matured as an entrepreneur and as an individual, for me, I don't know what it is. Call it the universe, call it God, whatever. I found that started just like I need to give back, or I need to do more. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. And I don't know if this is across the board. I'm not saying that you have to do it, but do you feel like it's an important piece of just being a human being, or a business owner, to give back in some capacity? And it
I
doesn't
think
even need
both.
to be money. It could be time. It could be something.
Right.
It could be reposting something. Once again, people get like far out, like, oh, I don't have money, or I don't, like, you could do many things to support or to give
Yeah.
back.
And so one and this is something that my mom, my aunt, and my grandma taught me. You don't do things to let people know about them, right? If you're going to donate your time or do any type of philanthropy work, you want to do it because you want to do it, not because, like, look at me at the food drive,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that
I'm
has
giving
been
this homeless person some food, and look,
yeah.
here's a video. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, since I could remember, we always provided to people that were less fortunate. So for me, it was just part of my everyday. And so when I had my children, we do that all the time. We've gone to food drive banks, we've donated, toys. We've just, again, it's just part of our not every day, but it's just part of who we are, to be able to kind of give back. This feels a little different because I just said, like, hey, we're not doing it, but we're doing it in a way where we're raising awareness to those organizations, and we're providing spaces where people are able to give to those organizations. I do think it's important. I think it's important, not as just a human being, but also it's good business practice. I'll be brutally honest, I have reached out to businesses when this first started, and they flat out just said, no, thank you. And I am going to think twice about potentially working with those companies, because why would I want to work with someone that is not aligned fully with the way that I see the world and the way that I want to run my business? And so that's a really big piece of it. It is important. And again, like you said, it doesn't, you know, I'm not giving $1 million checks to sell,
Right, right.
but it's even something small is impactful. I mean, think about that. We were able to donate toys to 12 families. 12 families. It doesn't seem like a lot, but for that one family and that one mom, that all she wanted was $100 worth of gifts to be able to give something to their children. And I think that's the other piece of it. We don't realize how fortunate we are. We don't realize how privileged we are. I always say this, the key to happiness is the simplest of gratitudes. I know it sounds ridiculous, but just the fact that you're waking up in a warm bed, you don't realize how many people don't get to have that. And so, I had somebody saying, "Well, you're asking for toothpaste and toothbrushes?" Yes, because for you that's a given. You just have toothpaste, right? And most people have 10 toothpaste because they go to Costco. There's people that don't have that. That's a luxury item for some families. And so, uh, anything is better than nothing. So
Yeah.
that's why we're trying to do this. There's so much that could be done in the world, and even if we just do just something small, it's better than not doing anything at all.
I agree with that so much to the point where it makes me think of a conversation that I had with somebody that is close to me who, I guess, long story short, is trying to, worry about like these really, really big problems. Let's say we have so many really, really big problems going on in the world, right? And I'm not saying that they're not important or that we should not care about those moments or those things. But I had like a really honest question. I said, is there something that you feel like you can do for that situation right now? Yes or no? No. Is there something that you could feel like you could do to maybe help somebody else in this moment? He was like, yeah. So I was like, maybe you could start there and then maybe you can move on to the next thing. But sometimes I do hear a lot of people focusing on like these problems just to be like I just want to comment about this thing. But if you're not doing anything about it, maybe just start a little smaller. Maybe what you can help, even if it's just that one person or that one thing. And you hit something very close to home for me just today. One of the things I thank God for today was for my problems, because I realized that my problems are things that probably some people wish they would have, right? Sometimes I'm crying about, I didn't make it to the gym today. And I'm just like, some people are not even, that's not even on their, they're thinking, am I going to eat today? Right. So, we once again are very fortunate, like you said, and sometimes we have to take a step back and even be grateful for the type of problems that we have, because some people would die to have them. Right. So I love the fact that you're doing what you can in whatever capacity. And I do feel like there's a compounding effect for what you're doing. It starts at 12, and I'm very sure that it can go to 24 and to 100, and who knows where else it could go. But either way, you're doing something, and you're being intentional about it. Which, congratulations for that, because I think that's a very special thing to add to what you already do as an entrepreneur and all these other things.
And thank you. Thank you for being one of the incredible people that said yes in that initial unofficial gather and give holiday event. That was very sweet.
It's always in my heart. It's not always possible with my schedules, especially now with like a little tiny baby on my hands. But I try to do what I can within reason. Obviously, I think it's important for me to give back as well. But all these things, for some reason, took me back to your daughters.
Okay.
Don't ask me why. I just kind of
Okay.
follow my brain sometimes. So you have these two daughters. You're doing all these things, right? The business, working, trying to be a mom. And I know we touched upon it briefly as far as like, being there to encourage them. But what is something that you're hoping for them to get from all this that you're not necessarily saying in words? Like just from like what they're internalizing mentally, not what you're, saying in words to them.
Hard work. It sounds hard work. I see it all the time. I see these young people that want that instant gratification. They I'm gonna start a business, and they put in an hour of time and then they're like, yay, and they're
Give
not
up.
successful, or they don't give 100% of themselves. They're not dressed like the part, they're not speaking eloquently, they're not presenting themselves in a way that shows I'm fully committed to this. And so I think that's the piece, is being able to work hard. And do the work, right? This doesn't happen overnight. This isn't just a passion project and I'm going to just give it a couple minutes and then just, why am I not successful? And so they see that, or
Yeah.
at least I hope they see that, that when I'm up at 5:30 in the morning and I'm opening up my computer at 6, and when they're going to bed, I'm opening up that computer. Or unfortunately, especially during wedding season, softball season is happening, and there are
Oh,
where I'm on my laptop on the softball field, right before the game because I have to be there, an hour before to warm up. And I'm taking that hour just to kind of get ahead of things. And so I don't want them to see that I wasn't that mama was on the computer during warm up. I want them to see my mom's working hard, and hopefully when they are out in the world that they give themselves 100% of themselves. One of my favorite quotes, and I tell this all the time, is Dr. Martin Luther King. If I was a street sweeper, street sweep streets like the oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess this up. Like Shakespeare wrote poem, like Michelangelo painted. Basically, it doesn't matter what job you have, you give your 100% to that job. And I'm a testament of, I started as a barista at the Eddie Bauer coffee
wow.
shop.
Okay.
Yeah, and from there, I became a visual manager, and then I worked as a visual manager for Restoration Hardware, and then I got the and, like, and it's a coincidence? I don't think so. I think that within whatever job that was given to me, I gave 100% and I worked hard, and if I could give anything to my children, it's that. It's to be able to give 100% of yourself to whatever it is that you're doing.
I love it, and it makes me think of a quote. I can't remember the name of from who. Maybe it's from a book or something like that. Pretty much saying that hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So it's like this cycle, right? So I feel like you're preparing your daughters to say, let's toughen up a little bit so you can survive in this world, so to speak. Because if you don't, then you're gonna struggle a little bit,
Mhm.
which I think
Absolutely. My late
is
I'm gonna quote my late cousin Xavier, who I love and adore, and he kept it simple. He said, "Life's hard, wear a helmet." And so he's like, that's it, it's true. I want the world to be soft and kind to my children, but the reality is that it's not going to be that way. And so as a mom, I have to equip them with the reality. Yes, there's tons of beautiful and wonderful and good things in the world, but there's going to be things that are not going to be so wonderful, and you need to be able to have the confidence and the intelligence and the endurance to be able to kind of go through that and do it with grace.
absolutely. Sometimes it's for the long haul, and like you said, the whole immediate gratification is sometimes what throws people for a loop because they want it today or they want it tomorrow, and sometimes
My gosh,
it
that's
might
a
take a couple of
whole
years. But
Father, don't even get me started
I
on
get it.
some
I get it.
people.
It's not
Laptop
the,
shuts down until Monday. No, ma'am, that's not how that works.
yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
put in the work.
It is. It is. It is a thing that we have to be mindful of. But I do want to get into the rapid fire round, which, if you've heard of episodes before, I do a little rapid fire at the end. So the first question is, what is one detail guests always remember most about an event?
I think the overall guest experience, it's how things were seamless throughout, that, they were welcomed in, prepared, and that, ceremony went smoothly. He was waiting and was comfortable. And then they walked over to cocktail hour and everything was there and the welcome drinks were being served. And then, the seating chart, was in a place where they knew exactly where they were going to be seated, and they walked into the reception and just kind of have like a seamless guest experience where no one felt rushed, no one was waiting around for anything, and I think that to me is what I try to do. That everyone just has like a really stress free experience.
Love that. What is one wedding or event, could be wedding or event, trend that needs to retire?
I'm gonna plead the fifth on this because I have to. I'm sorry. I'm a wedding planner and I have
Come on.
so many incredible okay, I'm gonna tell okay, here's the trend. The trend that needs to retire is any trend that does not feel genuine to you.
So
That's what I'm gonna
politically
say.
correct,
I
Ananis.
know, I'm sorry.
But good thing I didn't send you any questions ahead of time. They
I
would have
would
been
have
even
said the
worse.
same thing. No, but it's true. I can't. Okay, Christian, am I really gonna say, like, it's this? A couple could have had that or want to do that. I can't. But I do believe any trend that does not feel genuine to you, that would be the trend that needs to go away.
Okay, politically correct Ananis. I'll take it for now. I'll take it for now. What is something then that can instantly kill the vibe at an event?
Waiting around, like, if, like, you're waiting around for the bride to arrive, or you're waiting around because the reception still needs to get set up, which, oh my gosh, that's like my biggest nightmare. Is that I just feel like everything needs to be continuous, and nobody needs to feel rushed. But yeah, I feel like if people are waiting around, or like they're it's taking too long, or there's too many gaps in between one thing to another, I think that kind of kills the vibe.
Okay. And the last question, the heart of the show, Ananis, what
Yes.
makes a client the right fit for your energy and your team?
I think genuine love stories, imperfect, perfectly beautiful love stories where they're real and they love to try different foods and travel and have this really beautiful support system with family and friends. I think those are the couples for me because we have that in common and that alignment where, as you can tell, I am me, 100% unapologetically me. And I want couples to kind of have that. And obviously, there has to be a sense of professionalism and control. I still that New York accent is gonna come out once in a while. That really excitable Ananis is gonna come out when I'm passionate about something that I'm talking about. And so I love couples that kind of have that same energy.
I love that. I love that. And I feel like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a little hopeless romantic vibes in there? Because I feel like I'm a little bit of a hopeless romantic. And some of the things that you're talking about, like love and connection, and is that, am I
Of
misunderstood?
course, of
Yeah.
course. There's yes, there's and here's the thing, people it's romance doesn't necessarily have to be in the obvious. I say that time and time again. Please don't give me some grand gesture. It's not genuine to me. But if you
Mm,
remember how I take my coffee and know what my favorite flowers are and give that to me on a random Tuesday as opposed to Valentine's Day,
yeah.
that's what romance looks like. And romance can be platonic, right? It could be a picnic with my kids under a tree just because it's a beautiful day, or really great conversation with a friend just because you're having a bad day. So, yeah, hopeless romantic forever. I mean, I'm a wedding planner. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love,
that's
love.
yeah. I don't think this is a side of you that you've seen. You've always seen the like,
Right? I mean, is that a robe? Is that AI or is that a person?
no,
No,
it's
no. Yeah, I'm
me.
kidding.
No, no. Yeah, no, absolutely. Hopeless romantic, wholeheartedly. Give it all the things. Yes.
Okay, I'm the same way, so I'm not judging. I just kind of got that vibe. Where can any person that's watching or listening, where can they find you? Where are you active?
I would say Instagram. Instagram has kind of everything. It has our website, it has our inquiry form. So if they are interested in inquiring about our services, it's right there on our bio. It also has a really great showcase of our work and all of the weddings that we've been honored to be a part of. So I would say at Events by Ananis is the best way to find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much for carving out some time for us here today for an amazing conversation. And for anybody listening or watching, thank you so much for tuning in once again to The Right Fit. And of course, we hope to see you around next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Peace.